Super great news for all you Mavic 3 owners that were worried about your investment after the European drone regulation transition period ends. After January 1st, 2024, it's a requirement that the drone is equipped with a class identification label or a C mark to be able to operate in Europe under the EU drone rules. If that is not the case, the drone will be classified as a legacy drone. And for a Mavic 3 with a weight of 900 grams, this will be a disaster as it will land under the open category in the airspace A3, where it has to keep a horizontal distance of 150 meters to urban areas. That would, in my perspective, render the drone useless. But there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel. DJI has, as the first drone manufacturer, been granted a C1 EU type examination certificate for drones under the new European drone regulation. We have been waiting for this for a long time and it's finally going to happen. The C1 certificate for the Mavic 3 series can be done retroactively without sending in the drone, despite previous beliefs, including yours truly. It only requires you to update the drone with C1 compliant firmware. This is unprecedented in the European Union, so I wonder how they pulled that one off. And this is fantastic, as the Mavic 3 series now will be allowed to fly in the open category A1 airspace, offering some real advantages compared to the A2 airspace where the Mavic 3 have to be operated today. With the A1, there's no requirement of a horizontal safety zone below the drone, making it a lot easier to plan your missions. You're not allowed to plan to fly over people, and in case it should happen, you should minimize the time as much as possible. Similar to the sub 250 gram drones, it's still not allowed to fly over groups of people. The cool part with this change is that you no longer need to pass your A2 remote pilot license exam, which is both difficult, time consuming, and could cost you a lot of money. And as mentioned, you don't need to have a 50-meter safety zone from uninvolved people, which is quite frankly a pain in the to handle in urban areas. But you still need a A1, A3 proof of competence basic drone certificate, as the drone is more than 250 grams, as well as the remote pilot needs to be 16 years or older. This table ripped from the DJI website highlights the main difference between flying the Mavic 3 with or without C1 certificate. The C1 certificate has been issued by the notified body of TÜV Rheinland, and it's valid across EU plus Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein, and applies to the current DJI Mini 3 series, including all units sold once its C1 firmware updated. A C1 compliant Mavic 3 is subjected to some mandatory changes under the European drone regulations. And these are: the Mavic 3 series meets the new noise reduction level of 83 decibel. When active track intelligent flight mode is used to film people or objects, the distance from the person object will be limited to 50 meters. Beyond 50 meters, active track will be disabled. The auxiliary LEDs will be turned on and off automatically during use, based on the actual environment, and the LEDs on the front arms of the drone will blink by default for the duration of the UAV being powered on. These changes will be activated whenever a C1 certified drone of the DJI Mavic 3 series is flown in the European Economic Area. So the drone will behave differently depending on where you fly. And this is new on feature level. But we have been used to that the transmission power is changing between Europe and, for instance, US. The application process for obtaining the new C1 class identification label for the Mavic 3 series is scheduled to be available for all customers during Q4 2022. It's voluntary to apply and it's free, but you do have to provide the serial number of the aircraft and provide documentation that the firmware have been updated. There will be more details about the actual process that you have to go through a bit later. Once the C1 application process has launched, all future updates of the Mavic 3 series will include the technical changes required by the C1 certificate, and it cannot be reversed. So I hope you are super excited, at least I am when I read this originally, but there is kind of a problem. And the problem is timing, because Mavic 3 pilots will be able to fly in the open category Air 1 airspace, but not until January 1st, 2024. So it'll be another 15 or 16 months before you can take full advantage of the lighter requirements of the A1 airspace. So until January 1st, 2024, you would still need to comply with the rules within the A2. So what do you think about all this? Have it changed your view about purchasing a Mavic 3? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you around.